And well. The IRS has decided to redefine how they're going to enforce charities, churches, and politics. 50 was it 501c3? Basically, it's been the understanding for the last 50 years or more that if you preach politics from the pulpit, you're not going to be tax exempt. If you engage as an organized church in politics, especially campaigns for persons, not necessarily movements. You could fight for social justice, but you couldn't tell your congregations to vote for candidate X, and you couldn't support candidate X's campaign. Well, the IRS is reversing that, and they are very accurately, but incompletely, quoting that this started in 1954. Senator Lyndon B. Johnson to prohibit 501(c)(3), which includes charities, churches from engaging in political campaign activity. It goes back and forth of what's the levels. Can you be involved in social justice or movements versus can you be involved in specific campaigns for specific candidates? Okay, fair enough. As the tides ebb and flow, the understandings ebb and flow. But my fellow progressives, my fellow liberals are kind of freaking out about this. So take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. They're accurately pinning this on Senator Lyndon B. Johnson, who later became president, who later, ironically, a decade later, signed the Civil Rights Act into law, giving equality, attempting to give equality to all races. The Civil Rights Law. Okay. What they're neglecting to tell us is this has been going back and forth since 1913. The concept of tax-exempt charitable organizations were first introduced under the Internal Revenue Act. But in 1936, they started to argue about what exemptions, what definitions, what charitable organizations, what political movements they can engage in. In 1954, the Internal Revenue Code of 1954 reorganized and codified U.S. tax law. This version included the now famous Section 501, parentheses C, parentheses 3 language, and the structure that governs nonprofit organizations today. Churches, charities, Red Cross, Salvation Army, United Way, not just religious institutions, but charities too. Okay, this is also the year that Senator Lyndon B. Johnson introduced the Johnson Amendment, which prohibits 501c3 organizations from endorsing or opposing political candidates. A provision still debated today. The provision is still intact yesterday. In 1986, the tax code was again overhauled and recodified as the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, but Section 501c3 remained essentially intact. All right, so the modern Section 501c3 became law in 1954 as part of the Internal Revenue Code. It was an amendment was added by then Senator Johnson. Later, what's his name? President Johnson. Yeah, he changed his name from senator to vice president and later to president. All right. There were motivations, Cold War mentality, civil rights, kind of complicated there. Okay. Equality and fairness and all that. Those things the right hate, equality and equity. They hate them both. They'll split hairs about which is which, but trust me, they hate them both. Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. Okay, back to the Johnson Amendment. Why did Johnson put this amendment in? The motivation for Johnson was he was facing opposition from the far right wing. The churches and charities in Texas, the extreme right wingists, They were coming after him. They were coming after him hard. They were tax exempt. And yeah, uh, spoiler alert, he won and later became president. Okay. But he added this amendment. His motivation was to get the far right wing charities and churches to back the fuck off. And it kind of worked because, the buck stops here. Get that? See what I did there? The buck stops here. Okay. Now, there's usually 100 senators present in a vote. 100 senators present in a vote. So why, pray tell, would a Senate of both left and right wing, moderate, mediocre, why would this bill pass so readily? I'm glad you asked. I'm happy to tell you. In 1954, before Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act, 10 years before, the right-wingers in the rest of the country were scared to death because it wasn't just political charities and churches in Texas. It's political charities and churches all over the country. In fact, across most of the Deep South, you heard about church burnings. What churches were they burning? They were burning the black churches. They were burning the liberal churches. So all those Republican or conservative, it wasn't so black and white, no pun intended there, conservative, liberal for Republican and Democrat in 1954 it is today. But he got conservatives and liberals aboard, and that amendment passed with flying colors, the Johnson Amendment. So yeah, 501c3 is the law of the land now, and Congress gives the IRS the right to enforce as they see fit or not enforce. And here they are publicly announcing that they're really not going to hold it against a church, a charity, what have you, if you get all political and shit with campaigns, people campaigns, Trump, Clinton, Obama, your local candidate for Congress, your local candidate for what? Okay, now they can do it without, of course, unfortunately, the IRS can choose to enforce or not enforce as they see fit. That's sadly vague. But if we truly can now preach politics from the pulpit, if we truly now can, as an organized church or charity, synagogue or mosque, get involved in campaigns without risking our IRS exempt status, guess what? Well, all along, a small handful of right-leaning religious bodies have been doing it. For example, the Southern Baptist Convention and those Pentecostal and charismatic churches, the mega churches. Okay. They've been doing it all along. And now they all have the right to do it. The Southern Baptist Convention, the Assemblies of God, the Church of the Nazarene, those who will get involved, a lot of the people in the Church of the Nazarene, they want to keep politics out of their church, even though they lean right. The Independent Baptist churches, the IFB movement, Calvary Chapel, Evangelical Free Church of America. That's the white evangelicals. In fact, they've been doing it all along too. But they have a lot of people who want to leave the outside civics, outside. The Pentecostal, I already mentioned the Pentecostals, Pentecostal Holiness Church, or the Church of God, for example, the one in Cleveland, Tennessee. They've been doing it all along. Okay, non-denominational charismatic megachurches, traditionalist and conservative Catholic parishes. Now, the Catholic Church as a whole, they're a mixed breed. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, I don't know a lot about them. Churches that go politically both ways. The Eastern Orthodox Church, it's very big. Some would say as big as the Catholic Church. You have liberals and you have conservatives. They've been quiet. So it varies by jurisdiction, by congregational members. So who knows which way they're going to go. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, known as the LDS, or the Mormon Church. Now, they're mixed even with each congregation. They're conservative in their politics, in their social understandings of how the world. They hate LGBTQ. They hate abortion. They love guns. Sounds very, very Republican, right? Mitt Romney. Oh, wait a minute. Yet they are hated, and they reciprocate that hate towards the traditional conservatives. So are they going to get involved? I don't know. But please, if you are a member of the vast majority of religious bodies in the United States, those who were suppressed by the Republicans in 1954, the conservative Democrats in 1954, and Johnson, who was kind of liberal. If you're a member of one of the vast majority, let's just name a few, and I'll list all of these in the description. The United Church of Christ, the United Church of Canada. Yes, they have congregations in America, in the United States. The Episcopal Church, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. That's the ELCA. The Evangelical Lutheran Church in Canada. Okay, that's the ELCIC. Okay, when they have strong influence too. Here, the Presbyterian Church, the Unitarian Universalist Association. That's all the Unitarians, all the Universalists, and the Unitarian Universalists. That's all of them. They're all very progressive and very liberal. The Mennonite Church. Now, I get it. Some Mennonites are very conservative, and most Mennonites stay out of outside politics. But the ones who are willing to speak, progressive. Help. just that they're willing to get involved in the outside world shows that they are progressive by the pure form of the definition of the word progressive. Okay, Reform Judaism, U.S. and Canada. Maybe not so much in Israel, but Reform, American Judaism. Most synagogues in America. Conservative Judaism. Oh, wow. Reform and conservative. Okay. American Judaism. Reconstructionist Judaism. Oh, that's all three kinds of Judaism right here in America. They hate the right. Get them, boys. Our Religious Society of Friends. That's the Quakers. The Metropolitan Community Churches, MCC. Not familiar with them. Oh, they were founded specifically to serve LGBTQ plus Christians. The Progressive Catholic Movement, as I said earlier, Catholics go both ways. No pun intended. But those willing to get involved generally lean left. Okay. Faith in Public Life, Sojourners Network Lobby. I have no idea what that is. The Christian-rooted but interfaith networks advocating for progressive policy, immigration, anti-poverty, anti-racism. Go get them, Faith in Public Life. You are now tax-free if you want to preach it from the pulpit. Christian-rooted, but okay, I already read that. Okay, Interfaith Alliance, the Religious Institute, New Thought Churches. That's Unity, Science of Mind, Christian Science. Those guys, New Thought Churches. Don't know a lot about them. Emphasis on personal spirituality, inclusion, and healing. Oh, conservatives hate that word. Inclusion. Oh, that's gross. The African Methodist Episcopal Church. Boom. Big one. The National Baptist Convention. That's usually the Black Baptists. Those two right there. There'll be 17 and 18 in my description. Those two right there is why most of the South states jumped on board of Johnson's amendments. Now, instead of having their churches burned, they're going to speak out, like Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, here they come, boys. The Church of God in Christ, COGIC. Don't know what that is. Progressive National Baptist Convention. Most of the Baptists are on the right side of correctness, not right. left, but okay. The Church of God in Christ. Progressive National Baptist Convention, also known as the PNBC. They were founded in support of the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. Oh, okay. So they're not part of the black. Oh, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. And of course, there's the American versions of Buddhism. Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, Vajrayana Tibetan Buddhism, secular or American Buddhism, Nishirian, or as I like to call them, SGI Buddhism. That's where I get my Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. They're the Buddhists who endorse rage when it's done for a right cause. They can now speak out and stay tax-free. Jodo Shinshu, Shin Buddhism. And I don't have time to break them all down. Most Muslim groups and mosques. They're liberal in politics. They're conservative in ideology. Sometimes when you hear about Sharia law, the right-wing Christian evangelicals who are trying to scare us with that, the Christian law they want to impose is very similar to Sharia law. But they're liberal in politics because, again, like the LDS, like the Mormons, y'all hate them. When I say y'all, I mean the conservatives out there. So just the number of organizations, religious organizations, are almost triple the number of conservative organizations, religious organizations. Now let's talk about charities. I get it. You guys win with the Salvation Army. Those conservative bastards, they'll ring the bell, they'll take your money, but they won't give to a gay man or a lesbian woman. Same thing that they would help other people's out. The American Red Cross in all of their chapters. Now, as an organization, I don't know what politics they support as a national organization, but you've heard Bill O'Reilly 25 years ago, 24 years ago, going on and on and on about the American Red Cross and how liberal they were. This bullshit about they wouldn't let the national anthem be sung at a high school. It was all bullshit. But something tells me they lean a little bit to the left. United Way. Funny story about the American Cross Salvation Army United Way. The United Way had a 9/11 fund that was specifically for the victims, the survivors, the families of 9/11. And those victims and families, before it went to Congress, never saw a penny. The American Red Cross had a similar fund as a wartime effort, because as a charity, they help service members, they help families whose service members go overseas. They're raising additional funds to better support those people. It wasn't directed, it wasn't raised for the purpose of victims and their families, yet Congress dragged their asses before, those silly congressional hearings where they raked them over the coals. Salvation Army, they're sitting there kind of giggling because they promised what Congress is holding the Red Cross accountable for. Trying to. They know goddamn well those fucktards are liars. Anyway, I'm going to put in the list 27 religious organizations that are now free to politicize from the pulpit, and 11 religious organizations that are now they're right-leaning, and some of them already have been doing it. So the shift in the messaging from the religious points, we're about to see a tidal wave of anti-Trump coming from the pulpit. We're going to see a little ripple coming from the right churches because they've already been doing it. But yeah, did I mention? Okay, there's two groups that go politically both ways: the Eastern Orthodox Church and the LDS. Okay, I already covered that. I'm repeating myself. My good buddy Muxer hates that, so I'm going to stop this recording now. Cheerio.
Are you mad? Are you bothered? Just a little? You seem mad.